What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of JK Sports. I'm back with Keenan.
What's up, guys?
And I am Johnny, of course. Of course, you guys know that. I don't know why I said of course.
Of course, of course.
Of course, fucking of course. What the hell's that from?
I don't know.
Oh, Snatch. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So we're going to be presenting to you today, I guess, AL, Cy Young, MVP, and Rookie of the Year candidates, and who we think are going to win it. So, take it away.
I guess we're going to start off with the Cy Young. Well, there's the usual suspects that we have, just like with all the categories, except for Rookie of the Year, obviously. We have Jared Weaver with the Angels, Samardzija, who's now with the White Sox, so now he'll be involved in the AL Cy Young. Corey Kluber, who came out of nowhere last year and had a Cy Young quality year. If he can have a repeat performance, he might be in the conversation. There's the guy to beat, who's King Felix Hernandez with Seattle. Everybody knows about him.
Yep.
Another guy who he's floated around the conversation, but did he win it a couple years ago?
I will check while you continue.
David Price. I think he won the Cy Young a couple years ago. I could be wrong. There's another guy who's the last couple years has been right there in the conversation is Chris Sale. A guy who, if he didn't get hurt last year, he probably would have been in the conversation. He was also in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. Masahiro Tanaka with the Yankees. And
yeah, 2012 he won the Cy Young.
2012. I knew he won it sometime. So, previous winner. And one of the dark horses for it, a guy with the Royals, Yordano Ventura, he could be a sleeper for the Cy Young if he has a good year. He definitely has the stuff to do it. If he's going to put it all together is the question. Obviously, the two big favorites are going to be
King Felix
and Chris Sale.
Mm-hmm.
Those are definitely the guys to beat. Price is probably that third guy, and then maybe Samardzija if he builds on what he did last year.
He should get more wins, I would think.
Yeah, especially with the White Sox lineup behind him, as opposed to, I don't know, the A's totally ruined their lineup to get the pitching, so as with the Cubs, he had no lineup behind him with the A's.
Right.
Jeff Weaver's always going to be in that conversation, like we said, because his offense is going to provide him plenty of runs. My favorite...
Wait, Jeff Weaver?
Jared
Weaver, yeah.
Yeah.
Two
very different pitchers right there. My favorite... Unfortunately, I got to go with the number one option. Is King Felix.
Yeah.
With Nelson Cruz now in Seattle to help that offense, I think he should. You don't need a whole lot of run support for King Felix, and amazingly enough, he hasn't gotten it. But I think now with Cano's addition,
we don't have Verlander here.
I think Verlander's fallen off a bit.
All right, fine.
And I think Price is the ace of that rotation.
Okay. All right. He's got a shot, though.
He's got a shot.
Okay.
But
that dude's living the life.
Let's
Let's leave him off the list.
He's pretty good.
We know his extracurricular activities.
They were made very public this past year. Yeah, I got to go with King Felix, like I said.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on that. With the two, Felix and Sale, but yeah, Felix.
Yeah. Moving on to the MVP, I guess. Obviously, Trout is the big name on there. It's hard to go against him. He's only been in the league 3 years, and he's never finished below second in the MVP voting. And obviously, he just won it this past year. Another guy who could take it away from him, building on his rookie year, is Jose Abreu.
Those bombs. He's
the guy who could definitely take it away from Trout. So another White Sox guy. White Sox fans are going to be happy about this video. There's a lot of potential guys who they've always been discussed. maybe one or two dark horses that haven't in the past. But there's a lot of guys who, if they could put together a great season on top of what they've done in the past, they could definitely take it out of nowhere. Obviously, Miguel Cabrera, he's a guy who's won it in the past a couple times. If he can return to the form of a couple years ago,
Triple Crown.
yeah,
He can. Yeah.
he can do whatever he wants with a bat. It's ridiculous. If Joey Bats can get back to a form of blasting 40 and 50 home runs, he could be in that conversation as he once was. There's guys like Cespedes, who now he's in a killer lineup. If he has Miguel protecting him and vice versa, they could both explode. And they have minor bats that are good, like the two Martinez's, Victor and JD, that could help him with protection.
We went to high school with JD.
We went to high school. I played on the team with JD, but
All right.
whatever. Name dropping right now. There's other guys who have done little things here and there, like Nelson Cruz last year, coming out of nowhere and being the beast he was for Baltimore. Adam Jones with Baltimore, now that he's got the team on his shoulders. Prince Fielder down in Texas, where the ball can really fly. Evan Longoria continued to do his thing for Tampa Bay. Josh Donaldson, who's not... That's a dark horse right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was killing it for the A's in their ballpark, so in Toronto, expected to go flying. Like I said, also with the protection of Joey Bats and Edwin Encarnacion, a couple other guys. And then the guy who came out of nowhere last year, who really put it all together, if he can build upon that, Michael Bradley in Cleveland. He really came through last year.
Did not get the recognition.
No, he didn't.
Deserved.
The people who know baseball
Right.
he got the recognition from them, but most baseball fans who don't really follow it that closely probably still don't know who that he is, and he definitely deserves the attention. So those are all definite candidates. Like we mentioned earlier, Trout and Abreu are the big time guys who are expected to win it. Trout, probably my favorite player other than Buster Posey. I got to go with him. I can't go away from him. He's my pick. I don't know about you.
You have to give it to him because he provides it on offense and on defense.
Yeah.
That was my reasoning for I thought he should have won it over Miggy, even though Miggy had all those offensive stats. I think
in his rookie year or the second year?
I think it was his rookie year.
His rookie year is when Miggy got the Triple Crown.
Yeah, it was the rookie year because I thought Trout just brought the defense at a particular position where the defense is very, very important.
Yeah.
So I was one of those that was on the Trout bandwagon.
And I know you really like. Obviously, you bursted out when I mentioned Josh Donaldson. You're a big fan of his.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get some stats with over there.
He's definitely a dark horse for it.
Yeah, Abreu. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but I think Trout.
Yeah,
Trout will do it.
It's pretty consensus on Trout. He's probably, other than Kershaw, maybe the best player in the game, regardless of position. It's basically those two, and it's a shame L.A. has both of them. I wish they could be spread out across the country. It's unfair. So those are our picks for Cy Young and MVP. We're moving on to Rookies of the Year, and pretty much most of these guys, they're going to be guys you've never heard of. Like I said, they're going to be rookies. So
I know like two of them. So.
Yeah. Fortunately, I've been involved heavily in a dynasty fantasy league that involved minor league players, so I've been able to follow a lot of these guys, and I know what they're all about.
No, I know 5 of them.
So the first one, he's the big name on this list because he's the signee from Cuba.
Cuba.
He actually played a little bit of last season, but he got nowhere near the amount of at-bats to qualify for a rookie season. There's no way he's not getting the at-bats unless he gets injured. So that's Rusney Castillo, outfielder for Boston. He's definitely the favorite, probably, for Rookie of the Year. A couple other favorites, maybe. There's Steven Souza Jr., an outfielder for Tampa Bay. He's probably going to be filling the hole that Will Myers left.
The key piece in that Myers trade.
Yeah. Great prospect for the Nationals. He even got some playing time last year. And he was able to put it all together in that little bit of time. Another guy who could be a big-time favorite, Daniel Norris, pitcher for the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who followed him in the minors last year saw he made amazing progress. He had like a sub-2 RA, at some points a sub-1 ERA.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a monster. I think at his first stop, which I believe was high A, at one point he was like 9-0, 10-0. And they brought him up for a couple games in Double A, and then instantly brought him up to the bullpen when they expanded the roster to 40. And he's going to be starting off this year in the rotation.
He's a real important piece. If they're going to make the playoffs like we predicted, at least I predicted he needs to show up.
Yes. And the other guy in that rotation, another young guy, Aaron Sanchez, who might have better stuff than Daniel Norris, but he's had some control issues. That's why Norris, to me, is the better player. But Sanchez is right there with him. He was actually regarded as the better prospect the entire time they've been in that minor league system. So those are another couple guys. Another favorite, but it's a huge asterisk. It's if he gets called up. He might not get called up, is Byron Buxton. He is, without a doubt, the best prospect in all of minor league baseball. Many people consider him to be the next Mike Trout. He's
been a big name for a while.
Yes. He provides everything. Power, average, speed, defense. He's got a monster arm. Can throw it in from the warning track, basically. He's definitely a key piece in the Twins' future.
I get with Sanyo.
Miguel Sano. I'm not sure how.
I think there's an Enya.
There might be. So Sanyo. Another guy for the Twins who could get called up, but he's a pitcher. He's not an everyday player. Is Alex Meyer. This guy has had the stuff for a while. He's been close to the majors. He's definitely got a monster fastball and a monster changeup, which, if you have that combo, you're pretty much set. And he's got the size too. He's like 6'8", 6'9".
Oh wow!
Yeah. Some other people who have been in the conversation for a while, it's just they didn't get called up last year. Francisco Lindor. A lot of people thought when the Indians traded Cabrera, they would bring him up and just fill that hole, and they didn't. They actually used a different prospect, Jose something. I can't remember his name. But Lindor could be brought up this year. And he has been a top-level prospect, a top-5 prospect for the last couple years.
Yeah.
Some other names you might know. Let's go to Houston. They've got a few people. Carlos Correa, the number 1 pick, the year Buxton was drafted.
That's my guy.
Good, big-time shortstop. He's also another top 5, top 10 talent as far as prospects.
Shortstop.
Yes, he's. A lot of people compare him to A-Rod when they were prospects. So
the power, I don't think he'll match. Well, A-Rod comes with an asterisk when it comes to his power, doesn't it?
Yeah. Baez is probably more of a guy. He's not a rookie, but last year when he was, it was more comparable as far as power to A-Rod.
Hey, don't go into NL, buddy.
Well, just for a comparable person. But yeah, Correa is a lot like Baez, just not as much power. I have a couple names here.
Well, that I don't know. I don't know anyway.
Another Astro. The other Astros guy that we were going to mention, Mark Appel, the number 1 pick, I believe the year after Correa. that the Astros also got. That guy was just a beast when he was in college at Stanford.
Yep.
A lot of people knew who he was, and because he wasn't drafted number one the year Correa was, he opted to go back to Stanford because it was number one or nothing for him. And it worked out for the Astros because they got Correa and him.
It worked out for him.
Yeah, and it worked out pretty well for him, too. He's been long enough, and the Astros are in enough of a rebuilding stage where they could bring him up, and he could definitely make a run for Rookie of the Year. Another guy is Sean Manaea, or Manaea. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but pitcher for the Royals. They could bring him up. When he was in college, I believe at Indiana State, he was regarded as maybe going ahead of Mark Appel in the draft.
Wow.
But then he got an injury, and that dropped his stock. He ended up going in the supplemental first round. But he is definitely a top 2 worthy pick in the draft, and he's definitely got the stuff. He's got great size. I know he's 6'5". I want to say he's around 230, 235.
What team is this?
Royals.
Oh, yeah. You said
Okay. He's a lefty too, so a lefty with that kind of size, and he throws in the mid-90s and can touch 100 if he rears back.
Wow.
Yeah, he has touched 100 in the past.
How did the Royals get him?
He had an injury at the end of his college year, so he fell in the draft.
Okay.
He ended up going in the supplemental first.
Okay.
Yeah. Another guy, there's only a couple more people that I kind of have down here. Francelis Montas. I don't really know much about his background. I remember seeing him last year when I was following during the season, and I can't remember his numbers, but they were off the charts good. He's with the White Sox organization. He's definitely a guy that if they make a playoff run, they could bring him up. Maybe in the middle of the year if there's an injury, and if that happens, he could be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. But I guarantee you if they go on a playoff run, they will bring him up when they expand their roster to 40. Another guy who I wrote down, I recognize the name. I want to say his first name is Vin Mazzara. Mazzara is definitely the last name, and I know he's a pitcher. I can't remember what organization he's with. Maybe we can look that up in a second.
Nomar. Oh my God, his name is Nomar.
Yeah, that's it. Nomar Mazzara. He's with the Rangers, Texas Rangers. He's an outfielder. I remember him now.
How do you forget a name like Nomar?
I completely forgot, but he is definitely a guy that could be brought up in that Rangers organization that's rebuilding, and it's not at a position they're backloaded at, like how they were a year or two ago at shortstop and second base. They could definitely bring him up along because they need outfield help. So that's another guy to look out for. Of all the names we mentioned, probably, like we mentioned in the beginning, the favorite has got to be Rusney Castillo. Because he's starting out in the majors. He's starting out on a team like the Red Sox.
He's a right fielder.
He's a right. I said outfield. I didn't say specific.
Sorry.
Okay. So, Castillo, he's an outfielder. I don't know where he's going to fit in that lineup because the Red Sox have a monster lineup, but he will start off with the major league team. He will get playing time. It may be like a Dodger situation where there's just that fourth outfielder who kind of sits. If it's not going to be Castillo in the American League, my next biggest bet would be on Daniel Norris. That guy has just found everything last year, and he was just a beast all throughout the minors last year. And even when they brought him up into the bullpen at the end of the year, he was a monster. So those are my picks for Rookie of the Year. I don't know. I know you don't know too many of the people.
No, not really. I'll go with Souza.
Steven Souza?
Yeah.
With Tampa Bay?
Yeah, there's not a lot of pressure in Tampa Bay. I think that was a big... a big help in all their young guys coming up and playing together and putting up stats relatively immediately. And I think there's no one shows up to the games. I'm not trying to slag off Tampa Bay fans, but no one does.
True. Like,
Crawford himself, when he played there, said no one shows up to the games. So for that stupid reason, I'm going with Souza.
That's true. It's a solid pick for it. He definitely had great numbers at the end of the year for the Nationals when they brought him up, when they expanded the roster. And he's had great numbers throughout the minor leagues. He wasn't a high draft pick. He wasn't a highly rated guy until a year or two ago.
That's okay. Jacob DeGrom.
Exactly.
NL Rookie of the Year, not highly rated. Came out beast mode, DeGromination.
Another guy that I could say, Chris Coughlin from the Marlins, 2009.
He wasn't highly rated?
No.
Huh.
He wasn't even all that great of a prospect, but he came up and he had that hitting streak. That just.
Who am I thinking of?
He didn't even have great, maybe Hanley?
No, the dude who got traded to Seattle from the Marlins.
Logan Lomo.
Yeah, Lomo.
Logan Morrison.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Chris Coughlin, nobody knew who he was, and then he just had this ridiculous hit streak in 2009, and I think his average was in the 320s.
Jeez, that's like 6 years ago, buddy.
I know. Live in the now. So, yeah, those are our picks. You know, it's probably going to be Castillo or Derek Norris or Steven Souza. So, yeah, those are our picks for Cy Young, MVP, and Rookie of the Year in the American League.
Watch out for National League coming up very soon, or maybe before this.
You never know.
Keep you on your feet. All right, remember to like and subscribe, please. And
Please do.
We will catch you later. See ya.
Bye.